connect up in a very cool way. And so I see Yelim is on the call. So sorry, we had a we had another meeting earlier. We also have, in addition to GC Communities, we have the Global Chamber app being developed, and that's taken a little bit longer than we had hoped, but it's now coming out. It looks like August 1st, and so we'll do a beta sometime mid month of July, and it's getting to the point where finally we'll be able to get that out. And that'll be able to answer a few questions that we get almost every day. Is there a chapter in Mogadishu? And so we always get like constant questions about that, which is cool. It's just that usually the answer is yes, and we find a way to connect folks. And so the app will be able to connect up not just to our team around the world, but also to other members. How it does the members that was part of the reason why that meeting went a little bit long. So that'll be sorted out in the coming weeks. What has been sorted out is the GC Communities. And so if you don't mind, I'll kick things off by giving maybe a little bit of framework and then introducing Yelem Ku, who's been leading the project, and she'll have more details about how to use it, how to get value out of it, and answer any questions that you have, including, how not to, get scammed or whatever, because there's all sorts of stuff that can happen when you're on WhatsApp. If you're not used to WhatsApp, it's sort of like when you first go into email. I don't know how it was for you, but, I started doing email early in the process, in probably, it must have been the early 1980s. In my career with DuPont, and I don't remember any scam emails back in the 1980s, but sometime since then they started to develop, and so we have learned how to deal with scams in email. I think those of us that are using WhatsApp and Telegram and Signal and some other applications, we are kind of used to it there as well, or Facebook, or even LinkedIn. There's all sorts of scams that go on. So part of our process today will be to answer any questions to avoid any challenges, because fundamentally, and this has really allowed me to think about what's different and what do we want to be different about Global Chamber. We're always asked to join various groups. Every day we get, hey, join this group, and I have this group of leaders getting together, and it's like really literally every day there's multiple ones and multiple requests. And so which ones are the right ones? And what we hope that is communicated and is true, that Global Chamber is the one community that is for leaders who are looking to grow their business across regions. And it's a trusted, vetted network. The newsletter yesterday or Monday was called Trust. And that was actually the reason why it was called Trust, was because I really started to think about all these other groups and why I'm not part of them and what we're trying to do with Global Chamber. We vet every member, so we make lots of introductions every single day. And being part of the League of Extraordinaries in particular, during that meeting and watching all the introductions happening via email and then post. I know Cesar has a big list of probably hundreds of additional introductions that are going to be made in the next week or so. We make those introductions based on believing that both parties are trusted people. And we also try to do our best in terms of having each party understand why they ideally should connect up. It's not like, and not to pick one person out, but there's a non-member in the UK who sometimes introduces me to people, and all it says is, John, meet Doug, Doug, meet John. And that's the email that I get. And it's like, well, like, what do I do with that? I don't know what that means. I don't know why I'm doing this. So part of what we do is first know people, and ideally know a lot of people, but know their character, know what they're about, know what they want, ideally what they want and for their business, so that the first of all, the introduction is knowledgeable and thoughtful, and we hopefully explain it well enough. Those of you who are connectors know, and if you make a lot of connections, sometimes we try to short circuit it a little bit. There have been extremely elaborate introductions that I've made with their LinkedIn profiles on both sides, and I wish I could do that every time, and we're working on ways to do that in a more comprehensive way. But we still, our intent is to always be that way. So that's certainly our intent, and the aspect of vetting means that we make those introductions. We hear many times what happens after, and sometimes what happens after is no response. That's not a good thing, right? If sometimes what we hear is they talked and one party was upset for some reason, and so we digest whatever happens. Sometimes it's, we did a deal and it's turning into something huge, and that's also part of the equation. So more and more our databases are allowing us to track that, so that we can certainly be able to sort out problem issues and we deal with them. I'm from New York, and I don't have too much challenge or problem in dealing with things directly. Sometimes I'll avoid it. I have a lot of Japanese from my background as well, so I sometimes go a little bit around problems, and instead of addressing them head on, hoping that person will resolve, or I'll make some maybe subtle comment and then hope things get better. But if something really needs to be addressed, and I've done several of those where there were big problems, like the potential sexual harassment issue. There have been a couple of those, and both of them turned out to be real, because I addressed it head on, and the response I got was not good. So both of those are no longer in Global Chamber. We had one person in a meeting, a member, say something really rude to someone. He didn't know he was on mic. I didn't even hear it, but I heard it was bad, and he self-resigned. And so the reason why I'm mentioning those bad cases is we are constantly vetting, and that's really important part of this whole process. So the upshot of Global Chamber Community is that we've thought a lot about trust. We've thought a lot about vetting. We've thought a lot about safety and security and protecting members from nonsense and from fraud and from a variety of other things. There's some things we can or can't solve. There is somebody who is pretending to be me and approaching our team members as Doug Brunke and trying to get them to buy Amazon gift cards. And it's typically our own team. And the closest we've gotten to having a problem that I know is one of our executive directors in India actually bought the gift cards, but she didn't turn them over to the guy. So at least, it was stopped. But that's the number one fraud in India, as it turns out, is pretending to be someone else and getting someone to buy a gift card and turn it over. And then the second fraud is when you try to get it back, they fraud you again. So, it seems basic, but it's out there, and we have to protect ourselves. So we've thought a lot about that, from understanding who should be a member all the way through the various scams and things that can happen, so that hopefully, whether it's in LinkedIn, whether it's in our emails, whether it's in GC communities, that you're all protected. And if you ever have any issues, please let us know. We want to know, and we'll address it, because there was one member who made a comment once about somebody we had introduced, and she got a bad feeling from that person. This was in another country in Africa, actually. And when I went back, that was another case where it wasn't totally clear what was going on. But when I talked to the person, for my radar, I didn't feel good about that person's response and how he responded. And so he also left. And I asked him to just stay stay away, because that's unacceptable. Everybody needs to be protected and safe here at Global Chamber. So with that preamble, maybe too long, I'm sorry, but Yelim Ku has been leading this project, and the aspect of, and I guess why I went on that long preamble, was WhatsApp was thought of as one of the technologies to use. And we got lots of feedback from people, including, hey, wow, that sounds great. I didn't know that was a way to converse with people. Or, wow, no, that's not good. There are these applications that are much better. And we've looked at all of those and ultimately decided, with all of the ones that are better at conversations, that they're all not universally used. The closest thing I would say that is more universal is Slack. I personally don't like Slack. I just find it just not intuitive enough for me, and every time I've used it, it just hasn't really kind of worked out. So we never really kind of got serious about that one. There have been other ones that and don't know that we looked at, and all of them don't have the reach that WhatsApp does. And even though WhatsApp isn't necessarily always known as a conversational application, it is used to communicate back and forth. So over the last 6 months, we've been testing it and using it, and there have been some good examples and some not so good examples. So we've set aside the couple of different cases where we have some stuff that didn't work out as well as we had hoped, and we'll work through it. We have, I think, a solution for both of those. And then others, like in Spain, where we have a chapter for Iberia that is working really well. It has members and non-members. So the non-member part of it is a little tricky in how we work through that, because the intent is that this will have members only of Global Chamber. And so how we exactly extricate the non-members, we're not totally clear. And so in that particular case, we'll work with Yuka and I'm sure figure something out, because I think it's solvable. But generally, these groups are members only. And the intent is for members not to be pitching, but more around opportunities. As I think all of us know, Global Chambers focus in on opportunities. Like, what are new opportunities? How do we find ways to connect you to new people that will grow your business, to have education or information that allow you to open your mind to new ideas and new thoughts and new markets? That's our focus. That's what we try to do every day. And so sometimes pitching can work. I've seen people do it and it looks okay, and it feels okay when it's just straight pitch. To me, that's not Global Chamber. That's not what we want to be. We want to be more helping and supporting, and that's the vast majority of interactions, hopefully, that you see at Global Chamber. So when we roll this out, and as we roll it out, there'll be pitching. Undoubtedly, it's kind of just the way. I don't exactly know how you introduce yourself without pitching. You have to explain who you are. It's just kind of the way it is. But hopefully, over time, we're able to get to that point where we're just helping each other and supporting each other and sharing information so that we can continue to grow our business. And then as connections are made and you take things offline, off it goes, and keep us posted on what's going on, because that's great information for us to understand what's working and what's not. Yelim, I can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done to get us to this point, including sorting through the good and the bad and the ugly. And fortunately, I think what we've been left with now is a lot of really good things. One is what's already now built, which is the community of Global Chamber. It's called Global Chamber Community, and underneath that is about 50 groups, most of which members can get into, some of which are private and you have to ask to get into. Some of that still needs to be cleaned up, but generally, like one of the great ones for me is motivation with Michael Quigley. It's like he made a comment a few weeks ago, like, hey, if there's a group where members can go and they just need a little bit of a boost and a little bit of motivation, I'm happy to host and facilitate that group. And that's Michael. Michael is for many of us, maybe most of us, a daily inspiration, constantly giving us, strength to be able to overcome both personal and business challenges. He's amazing. And so just even if that's all we did, have one group with Michael Quigley in it, I would be happy. The good news is we've actually got other groups, and Yelim will be able to tell us more in a moment. There are also regional groups, and those are actually all built. You probably don't yet have access to any of those, but we have groups for the different parts of the US, for chapters, for a variety of regions around the world, including chapters around the world. All of that's been built, but you need access to those separate communities. That's next week. we're not going to kind of go there next week, but imagine being able to jump into a group, not just with Michael there with motivation, but jump into the Global Chamber London, chapter, and have communications within the chapter. Today, there was some event going on in Los Angeles that's not a Global Chamber one, but it's one that could be very interesting, I think, for our members. Imagine all the members of Los Angeles and all of the people who are interested in being connected to the Global Chamber Los Angeles members. We were able to now communicate to them about this opportunity coming out. Those are the positives of what we view as something of adding value to our members. So we won't talk about the regional parts so much today, but more around the groups. And so Yelim, I turn it over to you to explain more. Thank you for your leadership. I really appreciate it. And to the team at Global Chamber, particularly Jian Kim, who has been extraordinary in putting these groups together. Sometimes I see like at 2 a.m. or whatever, a group will be formed. Our team has been working overtime to be able to get this to this stage. And I know there'll be a lot more overtime as members come into these groups, as we facilitate them and answering questions. We're here to support the success of you going forward. Yelim, please take it away.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Doc. For those who are not familiar with me, my name is Yelim Koo, and I'm the project manager at Global Chamber. I graduated Thunderbird last December, and I used to work as an intern at Global Chamber. And Doc gave me an amazing opportunity working as a project manager at Global Chamber. So I'm working as a project manager, and I'm so honored to be here. I'm pleased to announce this Global Chamber Communities. So briefly talking about the GC Communities is a global platform designed to help members connect, collaborate, and grow more effectively. And we are aiming to enhance the value members gain from our global network by enabling direct connection with the members and the HQ worldwide. And we are trying to share insights and new opportunities in the communities and the groups. And we've created leaders groups within the regions and the key businesses topics like Doc mentioned before. This is the brief introduction and the description about the GC Communities. And let me show you how it works. And based on the common questions that I got from the email for the past 2-3 weeks, I prepare some Q&A session, and I'm open to listen to what are the feedbacks and what are the questions. So let me share my screen real quick. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Perfect. So this is a Q&A, global gaining value from GC Communities. So this is how it looks like. If you join the Global Chamber community, this is the screenshot of the Global Chamber community that we currently have. primarily global chamber community. Once you join this community, you will be automatically be part of our GC announcement group, like you can see here, where we are communicating about all the global chamber official events and new opportunities, mainly from Elisa, Dog, me, and Cesar. And like you can see here, underneath the main global chamber community, you will see the topical groups. Now we have almost like 50 groups based on the topics. So you can access the topical groups to engage in discussions and share information on specific topics, including GC funding, GC nonprofits, GC M&A, and we are going to come up with more topics based on the members' feedbacks and opinions. And like Doc mentioned, we haven't officially rolled out the regional communities, but still stay informed with the latest opportunities in the regions. We'll roll out the communication through newsletter and the separate GC communities email, so stay informed. So, and this is how it looks like.
If anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to just raise your hand, and we're happy to answer. And then at the end, there'll be time for Q&A.
So based on the questions that we got from the past few weeks, especially mainly from the facilitators, we try to collect what are the main questions that we want to cover in this 30-minute session. So the first question was the general questions about the WhatsApp. So for those who are not familiar with the WhatsApp, I would like to emphasize that WhatsApp is not a complicated or difficult platform. It's very easy and it's very worldwide platform that everyone can access to. And here is how you can start the WhatsApp.
Uh-oh, we're not hearing the volume. Is there volume, Yelem?
Okay.
Yelem, is there volume?
Yeah, there's a volume.
Yeah, we're not hearing that.
Sorry about that. I think you should be able to hear the sound. Sorry about the sound issue, but I'm pretty sure you should be able to see the caption. But if you have more questions about how to start and set up the WhatsApp, just feel free to reach out to me and I can share the link and the more details about how to set up the WhatsApp and how to use as well.
Did that video was that video intending to be music or were there words?
I think the background music was just the backup. It was not that important, to be honest.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
There's a question from Bill.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, maybe there isn't. Bill, did you have a question? I thought I saw it, but now I don't see it.
Yes, my question was, how do you join groups on WhatsApp?
Oh, I'll share the link and the QR code at the end. So
Thank you.
okay.
So is it Is it
Go.
YLM that you join the community and then you can join any group?
Yes, correct. So if you join the community, you will be able to see all the groups that you can select and choose to join. But we can also directly share the link for each group. So if there's any specific group that you want to join instead of jumping into the community, just reach out to me, and then you can just easily join through the link and the QR code.
And I think when you join a particular group, that automatically puts you in the community, and then you have visibility of all the other groups.
It can be vice versa.
Yeah.
If you join the community, you will see all the groups. But if you join the group first, you can also see the other groups that you can join within the community, and you'll be automatically added to the community.
So those are the two main ways.
Yes. Oh, I think there's a question from Pankaj. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hey, Doug and everyone. When you were talking, I already joined the GC community, as well as when you talking, I already joined couple of group which I'm done it. So it's very easy. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Very good. And you've introduced yourself, so that's cool.
That's great.
Looking forward for your help.
So, Doc, should we move on to the next question?
Sure.
So the second question that I would like to cover here is how to protect yourself from suspicious messages and scams. Like Doc mentioned earlier, there are a lot of like spammings and the suspicious messages that people have received in the past on WhatsApp. And here is how to deal with those spam messages and the suspicious messages. First is pause and think. So you have to think if are they using an unknown number? Or are they rushing you? Or are they being threatening or asking you to trust them? Or are they asking you to transfer money or share a password, PIN, or personal information? The second step is stop the conversation. If you keep doing the conversation, there's more likely to involve in the scam. So stop the conversation, hang up a call, or stop replying to the user. If you can't verify the contact's identity, do not share any personal or financial information. And third one is block and report. Block the user to stop them from contacting you and report them to the WhatsApp. And this article, I will share this PPT slides if you guys need later on, but this is exactly how you can report and block them. And also, please reach out to HQ members, including Doc, Cesar, me, and Alyssa. So we are also aware of that, especially if it's within the GC communities. And the last one.
Because there should be nothing coming from our members, but if it would, then we definitely want to know it. What's more likely is once you're in the system, somehow people find your number, maybe guess your number, and you get things like, how's your day? Or, I think if you're already in any of these apps, you'll know that you get those kind of spammy things. And usually I'll just say, you remove and either block or remove and report. I forget exactly what it is, but don't engage with any of those. I don't think that makes any sense. If they don't introduce themselves ahead of time, like here's who I am, with their information, there's no sense in engaging. I think that's what you're saying, Yellen.
That's correct. And also the last one is update your privacy and security settings, not just blocking and report. You should also adjust your privacy settings to control who can see your personal information and contact you. And you can also enable two-step verification to better secure your account. So these are the ideal ways how you can protect yourself from suspicious messages and scams. And Global Chamber HQ are here for you guys. So if there's any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to us.
There's a few questions, Yellen. One is, if one is already using WhatsApp, does Global Chamber have its own secure line? That's a question from Jim Cook.
Secure line? I'm sorry. Well, what do you mean by secure line? Would you be?
I'm not sure we don't have our own secure line. I think we have a way of securely inviting people to the group. And then if somebody random comes in that's not a member or is somebody who's misbehaving or we identify as a problem, we'll remove the person. So we do have people within the system that are looking at it. And if anybody comes in that's not a member, we'll remove them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Jim?
And HQ and facilitators in the group will keep looking at those kind of things. And if they're violating any policies or any kind of rules, we're going to make sure they are not in the groups so we can secure our groups and communities.
Maimun has a question, Yelim. Are metro groups under regional communities?
Oh, that was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, Maimun asks, are metro groups under regional communities?
Yes, correct. So we are going to come up with the regional communities, including GC USA, GC South Korea, based on the chapters and the regions. We haven't rolled it out yet, but those will be rolled out next week.
Yeah, Lainey asked a really important question that I didn't really kind of remember until the last few days, is that if you are interacting in WhatsApp with someone that's in your contact list, you see their name. But if you don't have them in your contact on your phone, you just see a bunch of numbers. And so be aware, first of all, that when you jump into a room, people will see a bunch of numbers. So you do have to introduce yourself. And ideally, especially for people that you want to stay connected to, like Lainey and like Michael Quigley and others, you'll need to add them to your database, I think, to be able to see their name. I think what it does, like in the groups that I'm in, it'll sometimes extract part of their name, even if you don't have their contact information. I don't know if that's universal. Sometimes I just get a bunch of numbers. Sometimes I see actually a part of somebody's name. I don't know how that works. I don't know if you know, Yelim, or anybody.
Yes, I actually wanted to cover that question about the members introduction and identification. So if you can see from the screenshot here, if you mention name like this, people not be able to see their name. So when you introduce new participants and new members to the group, please include your names and introductions. While their numbers may appear in your phone, others will only see the numbers unless their names are explicitly mentioned. So make sure you mention your name. And if you find those members will be the good members that you want to save in your contact, that's great. But at the very beginning, when you're doing the introduction, they might not be able to see your name. So please make sure you explicitly introduce yourself with the names.
Either yourself or, like in that case, I was introducing our executive director in Djibouti, and I just, he's in my contact list, so I just assumed that Mohammed would be showing, but there's his number for Yelim because she doesn't know him yet. So I then just also I put his name there, welcome Mohammed, and his LinkedIn profile, and encourage you, whether you're introducing someone or yourself, the two main platforms that we're using outside of Global Chamber and our own app is LinkedIn and WhatsApp. And those are two of the largest, most used applications around. We by the way, we have we have over 200 pages on Facebook and over 200 accounts in Twitter. Those are not as conversant, or we just haven't, certainly Twitter is not, or X is not. Facebook can be, but we just decided from a business perspective not to focus there, and that we should focus in on LinkedIn and now in WhatsApp. So that's some of the background there for those.
And to move forward to the next question, some members were asking, what are the ideal criteria for adding other non-members? So the privacy one, initially we provide the link and the QR code through the newsletter and the email to members only, so we can ensure the community remains private, not to the public. And we didn't share on social media, including LinkedIn as well. So the community is primarily for GC members and is not intended to be public. We just want to make sure this is exclusive for the GC members only. But there's some controlled acts. Non-members can join the community and the groups only under the control of HQ and facilitators. So if there are non-members in our communities and the groups, HQ member and facilitators should know that they are non-members, so we can also control. And we are going to make sure non-members will be informed that their access is limited to a specific duration. We are estimating around 1 to 2 weeks, but for the more details, we would like to come up with specific details and inform with you guys. So this is the ideal criteria for adding other non-members. Do you have any questions?
And Jim, your comment there, it is, the intent is that there'll be some people that may be non-members that come and go, and those would be people, maybe experts or resources or people that are more on a controlled basis. Or maybe I would imagine, we haven't talked about it, but maybe there'll be some that just want to check it out, and they want to check Global Chamber out, and we want to check them out in terms of how are they professional? How do they interact with people? Those are things we're always, watching. So it is conceivable that there might be some non-members in there, but we're typically looking at them. If you see anything that looks suspicious or anything odd, please do send a message either to any of the folks that Yelim talked about, either directly to her or to me or Cesar or Alyssa or anybody.
Awesome. Do you have any questions or any feedbacks about this topic specifically?
So RT asked kind of a related question about can we have individual chapter groups too? So RT, earlier we were mentioning about the regions having regional communities and groups. And so absolutely, there is actually a community for India. And I think it's already been set up for Goa and Mumbai and Ahmedabad and the various chapters that we have there. So we have one India group, and then we have one or more of the chapters already set up. I'm not sure we've done Goa, but if you want to do one, absolutely, we should do one.
Awesome. Any more questions before we move on to the next question?
So Dennis Yellow Horse Jones is introducing himself, but he's talking about his fertilizer company, and he's an extraordinary leader himself, but his product is amazing. Dole, Pineapple, and others use the fertilizer all over the world, but we do have a food and beverage and agriculture group within Global Chamber. So Dennis, if you haven't already joined that group, you should be part of it. And ideally, we're talking about technologies, we're talking about farming, we're talking about agriculture. For your information, we're having an autonomy event in Phoenix, and I think later today we're doing some final programming around getting that up on the calendar. So those are all groups of people that will be of interest to you. But we do have a group around ag that if you're not in, you should be.
Thank you. I will contact Cesar.
Is there a group for Malaysia? We're still building out. I forget exactly whether we have one for Malaysia or not, but if we don't, we will. So there is one for Southeast Asia, and so definitely Deidre will have one for Malaysia. And the South Asia regional group, it's a good question. I think we chose some regions, and how exactly we sorted it out, whether it's Bangladesh or South Asia, I don't remember, but we'll have that next week, Maimun. And then as we go along, ideally at one point in the future, we'll have 525 chapters all represented with their own group. Some of the chapters have advisory boards, and they have a group of advisory board folks as a group. Then, like in the Phoenix chapter, we have, for Arizona as an example, that one is firmly in my head. So we've got Global Chamber Arizona. That's actually now a community. We have the Phoenix chapter as a group. We have the Tucson chapter as a group. We have the advisory board for Phoenix, which you can't join unless you're on the advisory board. We have the Tucson advisory board. You can't join that unless you're on the Tucson advisory board. And there are 3 or 4 committees on the Phoenix advisory board. You can't join those unless you're on the those events committees, but some of those committees are already using it. And I think even the events committee or one of the committees for the Phoenix chapter is already working it. So that's the level of interaction that can occur, and it opens up some possibilities. If you want to set up groups that make sense to you, again, let us know. We're happy to do that. I think Yelim, you may be covering this, but they can suggest a group, right? And then
sure.
It doesn't happen automatically, but it comes back up to us and we decide what to do with it. Like we originally had an automotive and an aerospace, 2 different groups, and one of our members suggested it be part of one group called mobility. So we combined the 2 of them. And then of course, as soon as we did that, somebody said, hey, let's do an aerospace group. So that's lingering. And the lady, Joanna Moore, who wants to do the aerospace group, we've agreed that makes a lot of sense. We haven't set it up yet. So there'll be, at this point, a mobility group and an aerospace separate group, but the aerospace group hasn't been set up yet. So if you have a suggestion for a group, I think you can do it right in the app. It'll pop up to us as a suggestion, and then we'll address it.
Correct. And also, if you're not familiar with how to suggest the groups on WhatsApp, you can also reach out to us directly through email or WhatsApp as well. I think Fred Nail has a question.
Yeah, sorry. Where is there a location where you can find out all the WhatsApp groups?
Yeah,
Or
of course. Yes, of course. I'm gonna show the link and the QR code at the end, so
Okay.
you guys can join
Appreciate it.
easily.
Thank you.
Of course. Is there any question regarding this? Yeah, go ahead. Pankaj, sorry.
Hey, all the people, I am a real-time user. First, if you join the Global Chamber WhatsApp group, automatically you see all the group, then you choose. When she is talking, already I did it. I already introduced myself. Everything is done. It's very easy. It's not a complicated. So first join the main group, Global Chamber. Then you will see all the group. Then you choose which one you want to join. That's it. It's very easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone who has a question before we move on to the next question? Okay. So I think those are the main questions that I got from the past few weeks. But if you guys have more questions, please feel free to ask me, to Doc and me, actually, yes. Doc, I think no one has a question for now. Oh, Erica.
Okay.
Erica has a question. Sorry about that.
Actually, no, I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you so much, all of you on the team, for putting this together for us. It simplifies things and organizes things for all of us. I'm sure we'll all agree once we're using it and participating. The beauty of it, it's actually been something that I have found quite useful already in having joined a couple of the communities. So just wanted to thank you so much for all of your efforts in doing this. And the second thing is, you know, with our mobile devices and social media and all these things that we've given our technology access to, you do a very good job of vetting people and keeping scammers at bay as much as possible, but it's never ever going to be foolproof, and it has nothing to do with Global Chamber whatsoever. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica.
You're welcome.
I want to recognize Erica as one of the most inspirational facilitators that I've seen so far. Erica, your mindfulness and your thoughtfulness and how you've interacted in the system has been amazing. And it is exactly the really in.
Thank you so much. I didn't hear all of what you said. You glipped out a little bit, but thank you. It's everybody. Everybody here is so inspirational in so many different unique ways. It's a joy to participate with everyone. Had that conversation yesterday, a separate business meeting with another global chamber member, and we were just gushing over how much we love this group. It's just a whole different mindset that people have in global chamber that makes it beautiful and trustworthy and easy to do business with. So it takes a village.
Yeah, sorry, I was stepping off my Wi-Fi and I forgot that I was doing that, so I kind of broke up. But I'm glad you got the inspirational aspect of what I said. I will the some of the newer groups, the way you've interacted has just been amazing and exactly kind of what we're looking for to have, to feed the group information, to give support for others, and that sensibility around supporting each other versus the kind of the pitching, which we need to do, is just so global chamber. So thank you so much for being a role model for all of us.
My pleasure. Thank you for saying that, Doug.
I think Stephanie also has a question.
Yes, Yalim, thank you so much for all the hard work that you've done, Doug and the team. I do have a question in regards to information that's being posted inside of the different communities. So I didn't know what should be posted in different groups and what shouldn't. And the only reason I'm asking, because sometimes I'll see things just posted randomly that may not, let's say, for example, I'm not saying this happened here, like GC Healthcare. Someone may post something in that doesn't have anything to do with GC Healthcare. So I didn't know whether or not we're just kind of getting warmed up right now, or what should or shouldn't. And so I just wanted to know, how do we utilize that? I don't have any negative response about it. I just need to know, are there any parameters, or right now we're just trying to get people to utilize it and just embrace what they share?
Thank you for your question. Doc, do you want to answer these questions first?
Sure. Yeah, I think, Stephanie, it goes back to, opportunities, that our goal in all of these groups are what additional opportunities can we offer each other, and be focused in on that versus the pitch. Now, at the end of the day, we have to introduce each other. So that's just a very natural thing. So anything supportive, and if there's something a little bit off, that's going to happen. That's no big deal. We just trust each other that it's all going to kind of come to the center, and be patient through that, because the people of Global Chamber, the leaders in Global Chamber, the members are amazing, and, we could forget that we're in the healthcare group when we're in another group. Who knows? So that all is forgivable. Part of what makes the global tribe amazing is our resilience and our flexibility. So definitely be resilient and flexible as you're interacting with people. And I think what I've seen already is there's a lot of good stuff. I did see very early, like the first thing that happened was one of our own team members, posted about himself. And then he posted about his brother-in-law's business, he's not a member. It's like, dude, like what? Like, well, how could you kick things off that way? So I had a private conversation with him to say, first of all, it's not about pitching, so that whole thing you did about pitching in every group, that doesn't make sense. That for you or anybody, it's just not going to be perceived well. And then secondly, don't pitch your brother-in-law who's not a member of Global Chamber. That doesn't make sense either. So I think that's kind of clear, or would be clear to all of us, that for whatever reason, he wasn't familiar with what was going on, I guess. And now he's aware, and he's been behaved since then. So it's all good. So I don't think we'll see a lot of that, but, recognize that, yeah, we're going to see it once in a while. No big deal. We'll work through it. If somebody's a persistent pest about that, we'll have a chat about it, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I will say it, I will echo what you said, Doug. Erica is a great role model, and you have several other leaders that just how they enter the group and the room, and it's just so organic. It's not pitchy. It's you know, has substance to either the particular community or whatever is inspiring her for the day. And so I appreciate it. Yeah, I have been very resilient and have not said anything to anyone that, you know, I was just looking and monitoring. I'm like, okay, how do we do this? So thank you so much for the information and also the guidelines, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, my goal, being a New York guy, I'm kind of transparent, and I know you've got some New York roots as well. So my goal is not to be, scaring you that everything's gonna, you're gonna be suddenly overwhelmed by a lot of bad stuff. That's not going to be the case. We just want you to be safe and protected. And if you do see anything challenging, let us know. I think what we've already seen is there's a lot of really good things, even in there's two of our chapters, one in Cote d'Ivoire and one in Benin, Togo, that are pretty chaotic in terms of like lots of non-members and lots of interaction. And one positive I will say about all of that is there's a lot of engagement, and it's much more orderly than it was in the beginning. And so we're just trying to pick and learn from those two cases that are not necessarily ideal, but indicate to us that there are ways to converse and to talk and get a lot of people involved. And so that's really encouraging. The Spain one is more down the middle in terms of members getting together, sharing information about each other and help that they need. If they're going to be, and this is a normal thing that happens at Global Chamber. Somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to Turkey next week. Do you know anybody there?" So now suddenly you can kind of jump into a group and introduce yourself and maybe get connected through not just Global Chamber, but through our members, and that's part of the value, hopefully. Any other questions?
Doug, could I chime in really quickly on that note that you just ended on?
Yeah.
I just want to say it is so beautiful to see Global Chamber members connecting in different locations around the world. It seems like it's gaining momentum and it's just delightful seeing all these snapshots and connections being made, like Ruby in Washington, D.C. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting who met up with Yuka just very recently. So anyway, just wanted to say I think that's incredible. And no doubt these communities are going to even further facilitate that process.
Yeah, that was Renee Meyer. And so, yeah, I mean, and if you guys, as you're out and about before your trip, let us know of anybody we can introduce you to, or during the trip, take pictures. I mean, it's inspirational. It's really great when members get together because almost invariably, always, there's some good stuff that comes out of it.
Sounds
Doug, I
awesome.
had a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
As your members shift through different kind of groups, how would the EDs keep track of if there are potential connections being made or how we can assist them? Like, I don't think it would be practical for us to join all 42 groups and keep track, right? What's a good way for us, would you suggest, to just help the members around the groups?
I agree that it's not probably a good idea to join all the groups. Join the ones like you're going to join the one that's, Dhaka and anything in Bangladesh, and then any subject matter stuff that you're interested in. Definitely don't join all the groups and then introduce yourself in there, because that will look repetitive to other people and kind of look like spam. So I don't think you want to do that. Join the ones that are of highest interest, and definitely join things like the motivation one. At least, if you're, we all go through ups and downs, and, who wouldn't want to talk to Michael Quigley and get his advice and thoughts and, and help him in terms of some of the things that he's doing. And so that's what Global Chamber is all about, and doing business internationally is all about. Is we want us to keep an even keel and help and support each other, including ourselves. And so things like that definitely jump in.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Doug.
for sure.
Appreciate it.
I just want to add one more thing. Yeah, like Doc mentioned, I would definitely recommend not to join all the groups, like 50 groups, like all together at the same time. I would suggest you to join the topics that you're highly interested in, so you can have more insights and share insights and discussions and opportunities. I think that's what we suggest.
Got
Hey,
you, Yellen.
Yellen, this is Pankaj. 1 second. I'm a global fund manager helping funding. I only join selected group which is appropriate for me. I didn't join all the group. Check the group headlines, then read it. That will help us. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to be doing one of these meetings every week. So I think we probably need to end this one, Yelim. We went a little bit longer. I think we were shooting for 30 minutes, and I'm sorry I gave maybe too long of a preamble. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And the next one, I think, is next Thursday, right around the same time, maybe a little earlier, but over the next several weeks, every week we'll have a session. So if you have issues along the way, jump in. Send us an email or pop in WhatsApp. Now that you're a WhatsApp expert, we'll be around and happy to help. Thank you, Yelim, for giving us this information today and doing all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And for those who haven't joined the community, this is the QR code to join the community. Just go to the camera, just take a picture, and then you will be able to directly go to the GC communities, and you will see the groups that you might want to join underneath the community.
So if
And
they're
thank
on their
you.
phone, what they would take a picture of it and then
Yeah.
what? Move it over to your I don't know exactly how you do it, but somehow you'd have to figure out how to do that.
Just go to camera. Just go to camera.
Uh-huh.
And then if you just try to take a picture of this, you will see the WhatsApp highlighted in yellow. And then if you click it, it's directly connected to Global Chamber communities.
Yeah, and there is a link too that is available. So either one of those will work. How are we getting the link out to them, Yelim?
Link I didn't include in this the slides, but if you see the newsletter, you'll be able to just see the link. And actually, I can drop the link real quick.
Yeah, so we'll send out another a newsletter on Monday only on this, and it'll have the link. So so you're here, so probably you don't need it, but just in case it's like, hey, I got to run to a meeting, you'll have the ability to, if all else fails, to just click on a link and jump in. So
This is the link real quick. If you see the chat, I just dropped the link to the community.
And
So you'll be
what about the closed groups, like advisory board or committees? Where do you get the links for those if you're part of them?
So if you join the community link through this link, you'll be able to see the EDGA's group. And if you are the EDGA's admins, which are HQ, including Dog, me, and Alyssa Cesar, we're going to approve you to join the group.
Okay.
yeah, so his question was more specifically about the committees, and if you're on a committee and you click on it and it tells you that I don't know what exactly it says, but it's probably like it's up subject to review. We'll review it and we'll get to it today.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, you want to have the last word, because you're always inspiring. You're always amazing. Really appreciate your suggestion about the motivation and your offer to help in any way. What ideas do you have, and how can we help you?
Thanks. That's very kind. Do you know what I'd say is if you need some help or if you want to share something in the group, just do it. Don't be scared. The kind of people you're around, they're going to support you. They're going to understand you. Look at some of the things Doug's put in the motivation group with his little grandson on the skateboard. You know, it's really cool stuff. Like Doug said, you're with good people here. You put stuff out on social media, it's like shouting into the wind sometimes, you know. But if you're with good people, as you are, you join some good groups, it has massive scope and it's very easy to share videos, pictures. I can see why you've chosen this format. It's incredibly easy, and I think it's literally just getting started. So I'm excited.
You're amazing. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And if we don't talk with you, have a great, if you're in the US, have a great 4th of July Democracy Day. And in 4 months, we have another Democracy Day on November 5th. You know, let's do all what we can do to keep America as good as it can be and democracy available around the world, business around the world continuing to grow, and transparency and professionalism and high ethics and all the things that we care about. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.